So the founding of Britain. Britain actually started through a black Hebrew Israelite who was a Trojan prince. Okay, his name was Brito. It's been anglicised to Brutus. And what happened was, after the fall of Troy, he set out with 300 ships off to find a mythical land in the west. Okay. It's not written there, but he actually he landed in France at one point. He sailed up a French river and started fighting the French, the pre-French, I guess. And him and his men basically fought their way all the way into the interior of France and realised that they were kind of cut off. His men were all kind of stuck in the middle of France, surrounded by their enemies. And thought, well, we're not going to do very much here, so let's leave. But obviously their mark is still there, Brittany. Yeah, in the past, places got named after the people that were there. So Brittany, Bretagne, is a mark that this man was there. What happened was Brutus, Brito, landed in 1103 BC. In Totnes, of all places.
That's correct.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into that. Yeah. So when he landed here, he found that the country was overrun with red-headed giants, and the king of the giants was called Albion, and that's again places were named after the people. So the country was called Albion. So essentially, Brito and his men killed all the giants apart from one, Albion's brother, called Gog-Magog. He left Gog-Magog alive because one of Brito's men, Quirinius, wanted to fight this 18-foot giant. Right, so the giant was kind of nursed back to health. He had to be nursed back to health so he could fight Quirinius. And this epic battle occurred on Plymouth Hoe, and what happened was Quirinius ended up throwing Gog-Magog over the cliff onto the rocks, and the place was called Lam Go Mago, which means Giant's Leap. Okay, but now it's called Plymouth Hoe. So Britannia was named after Brito or Brutus. Brito in Hebrew is basically something like holder of the covenant. Okay, Britannia means land of the covenant. This is the covenant between Abraham and the Most High. Okay, the Creator, specified in the Bible. When Brutus founded his capital city, he called it Troyanova, New Troy. Okay, there's a tribe near London called Trinovantes, which is telling you that these people lived near New Troy. And the Romans renamed it Londinium. So Brutus was part of the royal family. He descended from Judah. He's part of the real royal family. The real royal family is descendant of King David. So he was a direct descendant of King David, part of the Zara side of the family.
Not Pharaoh's.
Sorry? Not Pharaoh's, no.
Pharaoh's was the one that got the inheritance.
Yeah, but still, Zara was part of the royal bloodline.
Ah, but he was born second.
I know, but the
royal line.
he's still part of the royal line of Judah, but Pharaoh's had the birthright. Yeah, but you'll see what happens is they connect together in the end, right. in a bloodline. So the proof of this is in 4th Street in Totnes. You can go right in the street. There's the Brutus stone, which is where he's said to have set foot in Totnes. Also in London, the Church of St Swithin, there's a stone which Brutus brought from Troy, and again you can go to that church and see it. And I already mentioned about the Trinovantes. Also, this is a tapestry showing the epic battle between Corineus and the red-haired giant at Plymouth Hoe. So Corineus, after his epic battle, he was given Cornwall, and that's Cornwall was actually named after Corineus. And yeah, there were up until I think it was 1486. There were chalk drawings of two giants, or one giant and a smaller man. This was commemorating Corineus and Gog Magog. And right here, there's a news story saying that they want to recreate the chalk drawings on Plymouth Hoe. So, and also in the Lord Mayor's Parade in London, they parade two giants, Gog and Magog. It's just a corruption of Gog, Magog and Corineus. So, as I said, Britain, or British, means land of the covenant. It's a Hebrew word. And as I said, it's a covenant between the Hebrews and the Creator. So, are we keeping the covenant? Just a quick word about the Anglo-Saxons. The word Saxon actually means sons of Isaac. Okay? The Anglo-Saxons means the angelic sons of Isaac. The angelic sons, and there's been some confusion about this, the angelic sons are the ones that exhibited the fallen angel seed. So the original Saxons were dark-skinned, and the Anglo-Saxons were lighter-skinned. And I didn't actually mention this when I was talking about Greece, but this is the modus operandi of this bloodline. Okay, what they would do is, when there was a population they wanted to conquer, they would infiltrate this population. They would sort of arrive in few numbers, and then some more and a few more, until they had enough power, and they would take over that population, become those people, and rewrite history so you don't know about those people. Okay? And the same thing happened in Germany, Saxony. There was the original Saxons, and then this bloodline came in, took over, and they became the Anglo-Saxons.
According to my etymological research, the word Saxon, it derives from the fact that they carried a blade called a saxon.
Right, well...
Were they to be called, if Isaac's son was a derivation of that, surely it would be Yitzhak Ben would be the correct Hebrew term.
Well, we're not talking about Hebrews, we're talking about when they came away from the Hebrew.
So that's the origin of the word Saxon.
Sorry? No, I'm disputing what you were saying about why it should have been called. Yeah, when you move away from the original language, the language changes. Okay, right? We're talking about it from the point of view of anglicising things. Yeah, so we anglicise just like we anglicise Brito to Brutus. Yeah, we might have different sources, but my research says they're sons of Isaac and angelic sons of Isaac. Okay, so I was looking at this book from, I can't remember how old it is, The Origins of the Anglo-Saxon Race. Surnames are a very recent thing. Okay, people weren't given surnames as a rule. They were just sort of extra identifiers, because there might be 2 or 3 Daves in a place. So, if I was good at making roofs, I'd be called Dave Thatcher, or if somebody was good at shoeing horses, Dave Smith, But another identifier was what a person looked like. There's also where a person lived, Dave York or Dave Atwood, Dave who lives at the woods. Or, as I said, or their physical exploits, like Dave Armstrong. Okay, so you get names like Brun, Brown, Black, Blackman, Blake, and all the derivations of that. I won't go into the Wendish people. So one of the chapters in this book about the origin of the Anglo-Saxon race is a chapter called Our Darker Forefathers. And it says here, you know, there is a higher percentage of people of a mixed brown type living in Hertfordshire, Buckinghamshire, Wiltshire, Dorset than most other counties, except those in Cornwall or on the old Celtic borders. The inhabitants of these counties are the darkest. Okay? The counties of Hereford and Buckinghamshire have people as dark as Wales. Yeah? The Welsh were dark people. I didn't show you on the on that map that showed the progress of the Iber. There was another migration for the people of who descended from the King Omri in the Bible. Okay, they called themselves the Cymri or the Cimmerians. Okay, they went across the northern part of Europe and ended up in Denmark, Jutland. And they were chased out of that area, and they went. Sorry.
Caucasians.
Sorry.
They went through the Caucasus.
They went through the Crimea and but I don't have the map there. I can't show you, but they ended up in Jutland and they got chased out. They ended up in England and got pushed to the far west. And the Cymri became the Cymru, so they were the Welsh. So it kind of brings us to King James the sixth and the first. He was a black man. Okay. Now you can go to the National Portrait Gallery and you'll see a white guy looking back at you, but those portraits were basically repainted. Okay. What couldn't be painted over were engravings. And in the 1611 Bible, there's an engraving of a black man. He was actually, again, an Israelite of the royal house of Judah, descended from the Pharaoh's line. Okay, that came in through France. Sorry, yeah, got that, told you. Yeah, so he was the one who had the Bible translated as faithfully as possible at the time. Because it says in the foreword, actually, that there were people, and he meant the Roman Catholic Church, who wanted to destroy the word of the Most High. And he didn't want that to happen. So that's why he had the Bible translated. He sat on the thrones of England, Scotland, Ireland, and France, actually. And he unified them into one kingdom. And I said there's the bogus painting of James. He's been smeared with allegations of homosexuality and sleeping with his mother, but they're all baseless claims. Because how can you be homosexual and have 9 children with your wife? You have to have an awful lot of sex to get 9 children, I think. So yeah, more pictures, engravings of him. And there's an engraving of James and his wife Anne of Denmark with a afro. Yeah. So he reunited the tribes of Israel in England. Right? The Union Jack means the reunification of Jacob. Okay, that's why under the throne, the coronation throne, is the stone of Scone, which is the stone of destiny, the stone of Jacob, the stone that Jacob rested his head on when he wrestled with an wrestled with an angel. Same thing, really. So yeah, that's why that stone is there, because this country is the New Jerusalem. You know, I probably wondered why that song Jerusalem comes from. Guy Fawkes was actually an agent of the Roman Catholic Church, and he wasn't about trying to get rid of Parliament. He was trying to assassinate James. Yeah, because the Roman Catholic Church wanted to stop the Bible being translated.
Well, Parliament was Protestant anyway, so that would have served them as well.
Probably, but the main aim was to kill James. So this is James' grandson, Charles II. Okay, there's also a white-niced version of him, but one painting did survive. and it matches up with, again, an engraving of Charles II. And he was the last of the Stuart line. And what happened was the Roman Catholic Church, or let's put it, the Ashkenazi bloodline, basically finally succeeded in removing this royal line off the throne, and they replaced it with an Ashkenazi German bloodline. So, what happened to the black peoples of the British Isles? Well, if you look closely at, I just want to draw your attention to one of the definitions of Negro. Number 3, any person with some Negro ancestors. Okay, just keep that in mind. This is, I'm just going to show you here, this is an example of what happened to these people.
The trouble with Scotland is that it's full of Scots. Perhaps the time has come to reinstitute an old custom. Grant them prima nocte. First night, when any common girl inhabiting their lands is married, our nobles shall have sexual rights to her on the night of her wedding. If we can't get them out, we'll breed them out.
So that's basically what happened to them. They were the ones that remained in this country, and I'm going to go a bit into that in a little while, but ones that remained in this country were essentially just bred out. And I'm just going to show you what that process looks like.
As you know, every Aborigine born in this state comes under my control. Notice, if you will, the half-caste child. And there are ever-increasing numbers of them. Now, what is to happen to them? Are we to allow the creation of an unwanted third race? Should the coloureds be encouraged to go back to the black? Or should they be advanced to white status and be absorbed in the white population? Now, time and again, I am asked by some white man, if I marry this coloured person, will our children be black? And as Chief Protector of Aborigines, it is my responsibility to accept or reject those marriages. Here is the answer. 3 generations. Half-blood grandmother, quadroon daughter, octoroon grandson. Now, as you can see, in the 3rd generation, or 3rd cross, no trace of native origin is apparent. The continuing infiltration of white blood finally stamps out the black colour. The Aboriginal has simply been bred out.
So you see, it only takes 3 generations to remove the colour. This is one.
My grandma has full Zulu.
Yeah. Well, you'll see later on. It's actually more prevalent than you think. Yeah. So while I was researching this, I was looking at a book called "Nature Knows No Colour Lines," and I read this paragraph about the famous writer Dr. Samuel Johnson and his Negro servant Frank Barber, or Francis Barber. And as I was reading this, somebody sent me a video, and it was just amazing. I just happened to be reading this at the right time, and it was this. You know? So there you have it. I mean, that guy, if I walk past him in the street, I'll just assume he's just an ordinary white guy. But, you know, go back to the definition I told you. Yeah, he's a Negro. Yeah, just a white-niced Negro. And there are many, many people walking around not knowing that they're actually white-niced Negroes. This is a friend of mine on Facebook, and I was talking to her about this topic, and she suddenly realised, and she said to me, "My dad's black." I didn't know my dad is black, and there he is underneath there. Yeah, he's got an afro. If you look at his features, you know, he's got black features, except he's got white skin, and his parents were white, but he's a Negro. And Michelle herself is she's Welsh, and you can see in her face, you know, she's got full lips, yeah, that's slightly less full than mine, say. She's got a slightly broader nose, and when the sun comes out, she goes immediately very, very dark. Okay, and I put that next to it from 1911, describing the little dark Welshman, which she descends from. Also from the book Nature Knows No Colour Lines. This is a part of the history of the Moors. Okay, when I say the Moors, I don't mean you know, the Arab African people. I'm talking about the offspring of Sir Thomas More. Okay, this is from the Welsh. This illustration is from the Welsh. The Yorkshire Genealogist. Yeah, showing the heraldry of Sir Thomas More from Yorkshire. The Yorkshire Moors were not a place; they were a people. The Moors around this country are not places; they're about people. I told you the custom was to name places after people. Yeah, so all these places that are named Moor tells you that this was a place where black people lived. So this is another book I was looking at during my research. It's from a guy who was employed as a spy, basically, by the King William, I think King William of Orange, to actually try and figure out who amongst the noblemen they wanted to get rid of, basically. So when you look through this book, it literally gives you a description, a physical description of all the noblemen that were in the court at that time. And I've just sort of looked at, taken a sample here. But Charles, Duke of St Albans, yeah, he is of a black complexion, yeah. Charles Fitzroy, hang on a sec. Yeah, Charles, Duke of St Albans, is a son of King Charles II, yeah. He's a black man and black complexion, sorry. So it's very like the king. Charles Lettuce, son of King Charles II. Well-shaped, black complexion, much like King Charles. Same thing. Son to King Charles II is George Fitzroy. A tall black man, like his father, the king. Yeah, there's no doubt about this. So I went through this book, looking at all the descriptions of the noblemen and pulling out their names, because some of them, gives you the names George Fitzroy and not just their titles. So most people with those names, these names that I pulled out of this book, probably descend from black people. And that's just a sampling of the ones I got from this book. Anybody with a name like that up there? Anybody? Yeah? 1, 2. So British history was all about ethnic cleansing. Yeah. After Charles II was beheaded, they put an Ashkenazi king on the throne, and the Jacobite risings. You've heard of Jacobites and Whigs. Yeah, the Jacobites wanted the return of the black bloodline on the throne, and that's what they were fighting for. The whole of British history has been about ethnic cleansing. You know, the Civil War was a race war. Yeah? History never made sense to me when I was a kid. It never. Why were these people fighting? Yeah? When you plug in this race element to it, it starts to make sense. Yeah. As I said, when you actually look into it, you find that at the end of all this fighting, that most of the Irish were dead or transported to Ireland, to the West Indies. Okay, and 6% of the Scottish were gone as well. And there was, I said well, I didn't say, in England it was mixed tribes of Saxon and Anglo-Saxon and or let's say dark-coloured people and lighter-skinned people, which again, when the lighter-skinned Anglo-Saxons came over in very small numbers to begin with, they were sort of brought in as fighters for various wars, and as they came in greater numbers, they got enough power to take over, and then they rewrote history in their favour. So right now we have a false bloodline on the throne, a Germanic bloodline. This is the Saxe-Coburg-Gotha-Battenberg family. Yeah, they're Germans. They're of this Nephilim bloodline. I mentioned that Prince Charles was confirmed to be Rh negative. Yeah, they're all Rh negative. There's only one family. There's only one royal family throughout this world because they only marry within their own bloodline. Yeah, they never marry outside their bloodline. It doesn't matter when they say, "Oh, Diana was different," and what's the new one? I can't remember her name. Kate. Yeah, she's part of the same bloodline. So yeah, this is the false bloodline, and the rest of the bloodline. Yeah, this isn't quite accurate because we don't know half of these bloodlines, but we're guessing at some of these. But you've got the Rothschilds up there, you've got some familiar faces there, but there are also Arab parts of this bloodline and maybe Turkish. I'm not sure, but these are the bloodlines that are oppressing us right now.
The presidents of America are all related.
They're all related. They're all related to this woman.
You've missed out the black nobility.
That's a different. Yeah, I know. That's a whole another area, and I don't have time for that. There's a lot I can't. This would be an 8-hour talk if I put everything in. So sorry.
Families like the Medici are much higher up than any of those.
Yeah. Well, thanks. This is telling you that the public hierarchy isn't really the one that's in private. You can't. You're not supposed to be able to poke royalty in a chest. Yeah. So we get a public image of what this hierarchy is, but it probably bears no relation to the private one.